Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for joining us today. Welcome back to the NWR Security Technology Virtual Investor Conference. On the call today, we've got Spectur MD Gerard Dyson. I'll pass you across in a moment to Gerard to kick off our discussion of Spectur. We'll have a presentation from Gerard today, followed by an opportunity for Q&A. If you'd like to ask a question during the call, please type it into the Q&A panel in your Zoom app. So to kick things off, I'll hand over now to Spectur MD Gerard Dyson. Go ahead, Gerard.
Well, thank you, Tim. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I must admit it's been great to listening to everyone else to speak. I'm definitely hard acts to follow, and I'll do my best. So here we go. That's a boring slide. Okay, so where are we at? People that are a little bit new to Spectur. As I think Martin's spoken a bit to this, and I think Graham spoke to it a bit as well, is right now we're living in a world with a lot of challenges that are going on. And if you look at it from a safety point of view, there's a very real perception that people have. I think Martin called it psychological and reality type based thing. So there's growing, certainly concerns about safety. There's also real issues around safety and security related to crimes against property, which is a bit of a subset of some of the things that are happening around crimes against people. But it's not just that. There's issues around safety and concern about, climate change and floods and fires and all sorts of other things that are just building a level of anxiety in people. And at the same time, we're in this sort of demographic cliff that I think Graham was talking to, where we're going to have less and less people that are actually able to do work. And it's getting harder to find them as well. So we've kind of got more, challenges growing here and not enough people over here. And so this is kind of, Spectur, we're sort of focused on that combination of hard to find the right people to do jobs that are often boring or terrifying or both in different proportions. But also a lot of growing needs there. So that's what we do, is we provide technology solutions that particularly operate in areas that are away from wired locations. So that's the kind of niche that we operate in, and I'll expand on that a little bit in a moment. So what's our vision? What do we want to do as a business? We're very much about trying to make our communities better. That's a real focus inside the business, and I think there's a huge need and a growing need for it. How are we going to do it? Well, the little niche we're focusing on is around places which are unwired and providing a simple to use and economic solution for these remote locations or temporary locations. So they could be in the middle of the city or otherwise wireless locations, and using a technology complement that autonomous, that can sense, think, and act, and largely complements people. And, what does that look like? So I've got a few examples here to give you a bit of a feel for it. So you can imagine, instead of having a security guard, and this is a security conference, so it seems like a good example, you can have a static guard that's standing there all the time, or you can have a patrol that might come out, 3 times a night to look at a site. But there's a few challenges with that. A, it's getting harder and harder to find security guards, but B, they're not always there. They got to go to the bathroom or have a sandwich. If you're doing patrols, what happens when they're not there? Having this type of technology, and you can see some of our Spectur solutions, they're solar powered, so they go anywhere, or they can even plug them on a wall. In fact, these complement a security guard. So you can have someone watching and providing security functions of identifying people, calling for help, bringing in a security guard, which together with a patrol or together with a call-out service provides a really good solution and reduces your need to have on-site guards. Or another area that we're increasingly growing is in complementing lifeguards, for example, or rangers. We've got a bunch of examples here. If you look at a typical beach, it's rare that the lifeguards are there at 5 in the morning, but there's often surfers there at 5 in the morning. So how do you have a presence, or even at a remote beach where you just don't have a lifeguard service here, having the ability to give a place that someone can call for help if there's trouble, which like these sort of phone facilities that we have here, or an ability to give a message, which we can either do with a signboard or with a spoken message out of the speakers or out of a flashing light and the like, or otherwise to, in some cases, I haven't got a picture here, is deploying rescue tubes, for example. So there's a lot of applications there, and we've saved a lot of lives. People that have, recently there was a spinal injury on South Stradbroke Island. A member of the public was able to call for help. They had a helicopter come in and help someone. These are things that we just weren't able to do as a community. Another example around ranges, illegal dumping. It's a scourge of our communities, particularly those in more rural areas, but certainly in urban areas too, being able to identify when people are where they're not meant to be and where they're doing the wrong thing and stopping that. And that's making a big impact too. We complement scientists. So we're able to do a whole range of different things, and from real-time wave analysis, for example, and analytics, through to predicting flood levels or water levels using camera and sensor technology. We have solutions that work with fisheries to manage the shark catch program, or anything that brings together sensors and camera data. We've got a really fantastic way to bring that and analyze it and report it autonomously, all in real time. And so, for example, if you wanted to do a environmental impact assessment, instead of being out there, counting, the rare spotted, quoll that might be nearby, you can have a camera that'll capture that and use AI to count people, for example, or seeing how a crop changes over time, or erosion on a beach, or those sorts of things. So we can complement scientists and take them out of the field and have them behind a computer instead. And even public relations, we have customers that are often public companies or local authorities that they get a lot of questions from the public. By simply providing with an ability to put a camera somewhere that they can provide public access to, and or weather data or a range of other data, we can provide that too for places that otherwise they couldn't do. So there's a lot of ways that we can complement people in areas which you just couldn't do it before, because you weren't able to get your sensors or your camera vision there because there was no power or internet provision. And then I think the bit that's grown out of the side of this is providing a platform that lets other people do that. I just spoke about a lot of the solutions that we provide direct to customers, but we also provide a platform. And you can see sort of the hardware version of it in the middle here, where it's our core, power platform, but we've got a third-party camera or AI provider type technology mounting on our system. Or we have things where our customers that might be an AI company doesn't want to be a hardware company. They don't want to install it. They don't want to do any of that sort of dirty stuff. Let someone else do it. If we can capture their data, feed it to them, then they can manage their customer and do their AI and the like. And that goes to parking applications or the like as well. So we can be a solution, even for example in the security space. If you're a company that's in security, we can provide a white box solution, maybe a bit like Scout does, but at the not so much at the resi level, but at the business to business level. So that gives you a bit of a feel for the sort of things that we can do with our solar powered autonomous sensing, thinking, and acting platforms. It would be remiss for me to say that this was easy. What we do is difficult. Hardware's hard, as lots of people say. The good part about that is there's fewer competitors there. When we do hardware, we do it in the most difficult environment possible, where you haven't got any power, you haven't got any connectivity, you're relying on 4G networks or satellite, and you're relying on the power of the sun and the battery system. So take difficult and make it more difficult. Again, because it's hard for people to scale in that space. Capital intensive, that's what hardware is too, particularly if you start having a rental business. And I think someone else also spoke to this, and it might have been the Tallius conversation, is there are lots of rifle shot solutions out there. Some people do time lapse, and some people do security, and some people do this. We've built a platform that can do all of those things together. And we've tried to make it very open, very reliable, and very modular, so that we're able to give people configured solutions, exactly what they want, without having to customize, which is expensive and not scalable. So what we do is hard. That's great, because it gives us a relatively good and unique position. I'm not going to word through, this is my most wordy slide, other than the fact that we do have a relatively unique value proposition. It sits around this modular hardware and software platform. which we use for our own direct customers, but we also use it as a platform for other customers. So that's sort of our two groups there is, again, trying to be very focused. We're staying in Australia and New Zealand for now, although we keep getting dragged elsewhere. We're trying to stay focused here. We're very focused on government utilities at the moment, but we also service construction and some other adjacent spaces. But increasingly, we're working through resellers and platform buying customers that are servicing not just our markets, but other ones as well. And that enables us to scale pretty rapidly. This has gone from nothing to probably more than 30% of our business in just a couple of years. And I think that it will dwarf our direct business into the future. So what does the business look like today? Point in time are these sort of blue bits here. Sort of about 36% of the business is made up of hardware sales and the services around it. Most of that services are things like installing and moving and relocating and servicing. There is some professional services too. The bits we like of that are the data science bits. The bits that we're trying to do less of is custom engineering. We want a volume business that doesn't get done with customization. It's done with configuration. And then we have this increasingly growing, beautiful recurring revenue part of the business here, sitting at about 64%, of which is made up of our rental business and our subscription. And this is quite high gross margin business as well. So the big growing bit of it is the highest margin bit of it, which is quite nice too. How have we gone the last year? And again, I think someone spoke to difficult time. I can't give all the secrets away. We haven't done our 4C or a full year results. So, but we've given a bit of a heads up. We think we'll do about 8.2 this year. Recurring revenue sitting at about 5.3%, which is well up on last year. It's nice high margin work here. Really cut back on our operating cash usage. We've taken a whole bag of cash out, particularly in H2, although that came with some costs. We've repaid our primary debt. So today, other than whatever I spent on the credit card last night and a few remnant car loans, we're pretty much out of debt. And the balance sheet's nice and clean. We expense everything. We don't capitalize our R&D. We don't capitalize our ERP implementation. None of that stuff. When we did an acquisition the other day, or the other year, not really the other day, last year, we wrote off all the intangibles just to try and keep it nice and clean. And 42% sales growth last year. It was only a few weeks ago. In the last financial year, we sold more than 42%. A lot of that sales was for longer term contracts, which underpins our ability to have our confidence in our revenue next year. And along the way, we've fully replaced and upgraded our hardware and firmware tech stack, and we're deep into our cloud stack now. So lots of really good things done in FY24. Which, when you combine it with this sort of nice exponential looking sales curve here, big pipeline. I think we've been allowed to say these things again now, but don't tell the ASX about this, but big pipeline, lots of big opportunities. We're not chasing rats and mice anymore. We're chasing a larger volume. So this is the direct part of the business, not the resellers. Those direct to customer things have got a lot of scale. We've sort of, the engine's the engine's caught, and it's firing right now. And we're expecting to really stay, quite a lot of growth on the back of the platforms that we have now. So what are we focused on? We believe we've got a profitable business in front of us. Now is not the time to be the fox and chase everything that moves. We are focusing on the segments where we can lead. That'll give us margin and it'll give us market dominance. We've got another vehicle which we'll roll out soon, which is our online sales thing. We'll put commoditized stuff through that. From a tech point of view, simple, reliable, and performing. The customers that we have, which are local government, state government, big utilities, major providers, they're not looking for the latest shiny object. They're wanting simplicity, reliability, and performance. So we're really focusing on that. And the work we're doing over the next year or so is really around building the AI opportunities. Again, that's a partnering thing for us. It's not something we're doing internally, but it's finding the right partners to plug in. And that's lots of them, because we'd like to be friends with everyone. And the work we're doing around the UI to make that nice and easy. UI meaning user interface, how the customer actually interacts with our stuff. More modularity, better service. And then I think from an M&A point of view, we did sort of 1.5 last year when we purchased Three Crowns Technologies. and we bought out our partner in New Zealand. We've digested them now. They've been well integrated and are really contributing to our business going forward. We're looking at what would allow us to accelerate this plan that we have into the future. And we're actively having a look at that space at the moment. But we have an organic strategy, which you can see as well, around how we're going to grow this business. And that's what sits underneath this here. So this is market guidance for FY25. It's the first time we've provided it. If you have a look at this curve of revenue, you'll notice that it looks a lot like that curve of sales. So it is underpinned by, realism. And we think we've taken a relatively conservative view on this here. But we think, we're going to have a positive business with good revenue growth, and it could be somewhat more positive and somewhat more revenue growth. But that's just between us for now. This slide normally, not so interesting, but I think what's worth noting is top 20 shareholders have grown from about 40% a few months ago to 48%. So, really good support, great support in the EO and the placements that we did earlier this calendar year. Great support from this group of people in particular. And, as you can see, I'm in here, our chair's in here, our other directors in here, our head of sales is in here. So we're all invested, and we're all invested by putting our own money in our pockets and sticking it in the company, not giving ourselves shares too. So, and you can see, for all of this excitement, you go up here and go, wow, coming to 10 to 12 million of revenue, positive EBITDA, business with recurring revenue north of 5 million and market cap of what? Yeah, I know. If I could see your reactions, you'd be stunned. And just, I thought this was something I prepared earlier on the back of, we've shown this slide here a bit to those that have been following our story and where do we sit? And I guess just to explain this chart a little bit, this is market cap today based on annualized revenue from H1. So anyone who's had a big change in H2 revenue, well, it's probably unkind to them. But we sit down here and it just feels a bit rough given what's going on there and where we're at. And if you just look at everyone that we were talking to today, there's, here's poor old little Spectur down here as well. And again, when you look at the business that we have today, we are growing. We've got proven market fit. We're going to do 10 mil plus next year. We're giving guidance that we're going to be profitable. We've de-risked our balance sheet. The debt's all gone. The business is lean and mean. We've got a very good pipeline and a good backlog of work as well from those sales that we did this year. Our value proposition is compelling and it works. And it's not just for direct to customer, is now we've got this growing sucking sound from the reseller space that want to buy our stuff and use it as a platform for them to build on. And I think that's got a huge opportunity for us to scale in a much less capitally intensive way. I think we're dramatically undervalued, put us in any bucket almost. And, and we've got accelerating performance. So I think it's a great time to be in Spectur. I'm particularly excited about our future and where we go from here. So wanted to make sure I left some time for questions. So I will take a breath and, I'm going to stop on this slide because I reckon it's a great one.
Good stuff. No, thank you very much, Gerard. And I absolutely agree. I mean, the value is compelling, on any metric, but particularly that revenue base that you've built. And I think it's a matter of time until the market recognises that. So yeah, let's dive into some questions. We've had a question come in from an investor asking if you can provide more detail on the types of customers by industry that you were targeting.
Yeah. So probably big growth areas for us, or chunky bits of revenue for us. Utilities, so telco tower owners. That's it's all the big names. So we've announced before we work with Optus. They're a big customer for us, and a lot of their family. So Indara, ATN. We're trialing actively with other big names. You can probably guess what they are at the moment, and they're starting to grow. So that's very exciting. We're seeing opportunities into New Zealand and into the Pacific as well. We are working with a lot of security companies, some of the largest ones in the country, in particular around guarding services, for example, using our solutions, and they're white labeling it. and they're pushing it out. So that's getting a lot of resonance there. And there's not really anyone else that provides a turnkey solution into that space. So that's resonating. Major resellers and distributors, the likes of VSP, just came on as a partner the last month or so, and they're already getting a lot of work out of that. Big OEMs, Axis, Vicada, Viva, like iPro, these guys are seeing us as their ability to take their solutions, which they're global leaders in, and bring them into a unwired environment. And then you look in local and state government. We've had a lot of growth with local governments, both big ones that are in the middle of cities, but also regional ones, and also state governments, from things from Department of Transports to Department of Environments, Department of Fisheries. They're sort of and then there's construction companies. Let's not forget that. They still make up a substantial part of our business, either directly or also through our resellers, particularly the security companies that look after them. And that's, yeah. And then surf life saving, forgot the surf life saving too. So that's sort of, there's a few buckets in here.
Oh, well, there's no shortage of addressable markets there, and I
Yeah,
mean,
yes.
it goes to that point you made about the rifle shot solutions of certain operators versus what's, I'm not sure if you'd call it an elephant gun, that just is the opposite of a rifle shot. But it's great that you can be you can have a solution for so many different use cases. So. Next question's coming. This might be an opportunity just to scroll back to the corporate snapshot. Just questions about sort of the largest shareholders. The question is the largest shareholder associated with the company?
Well, no. It's probably the short version of it. He doesn't sit on the board, and but he's been a fantastic supporter. And both, continues to buy on market, participates in our raises, introduces us to customers, introduces us to partners. So, in fact, if I go through our top shareholders, we have, not only is it great that they've supported and they've increased their stake, but large numbers of them bring us customers, or they bring us introductions into partners and the like. And it's that active engagement of those shareholders that is incredibly encouraging for us going forward. Very supportive. We're very pleased.
Yep, you love to see it. Those are the shareholders we want. Now, part of the story of Spectur over the last few years has been sort of upgrade cycles of the hardware itself. As you've cycled through sort of the rental business as it was, and now you're sort of you're starting to sort of enter more markets. Can you give us some insight into that R&D process, how it looks now looking forward? Sort of, is there an expectation of more investment on that side, or is it a case where you prefer to partner than build? I know you mentioned that on the AI side, definitely you're looking to partner, but be interesting to hear your thoughts on the hardware sort of investment side.
Well, I think we're largely through the major hardware investment cycle, at least for some period of time now. Yeah, and it's fair to say, we had some problems. So coming through COVID, we launched a new product that, was really challenging. We did it at the time that COVID came out and the supply chain got interrupted, and so we had to re-spin our electronics, and it was really tough. And we probably, I look back on that and think, it would have been great if we'd been able to do that a lot more efficiently. But where we've got to with our hardware tech and its resilience, and where we've got to with effectively the rebuilding of our firmware, and to a large extent our cloud infrastructure as well, is we've now built that business for scale. And so now we're like, let's park that now. Not park it, like we'll obviously continue to maintain it, but we're really turning our focus now to the user interface and that modularity. Making sure that's even easier for either plugging in different AI, plugging in different OEM providers, plugging in different sensors, different reporting tools and the like. So that's really where our focus is. So it's less capitally intensive. It's got shorter cycles. That's really positive. And I think the experience that our customers are going to get is going to be increasingly better going forward too. And that really feeds into the margin improvement that we're forecasting in FY24 too.
Excellent. No, it's all pointing in the right direction, and I think most people would agree that if and when all of these these revenue growth opportunities come to pass, then the opportunity to invest is compelling. So you did touch briefly on the entitlement offer, which was, I think, a couple of months ago. And if I remember correctly, part of the use of funds on that side was a bit of a balance sheet restructure in terms of paying out one of the debt holders and sort of strengthening the equity base. So on that front, so that was a 2 cent entitlement offer, I think. So is there shortfall? What's the time frame there if people wanted to get involved? Is that an opportunity that's still on foot?
Yeah, it is. So we did an entitlement offer for, I think we're looking for 920 and we got 460. So in this market, that's great. We've got about half of that left, so another 460, and that expires. We can do that at the same terms until the end of August. Now we're sort of sitting at 1.9 cents at the moment, and even with the option, it's probably no one's knocking us over. But you know, who knows what might come around the corner, and what might that do to us. So I think it's a really good opportunity if someone wants to come in and get set, because you're not going to get an opportunity without brokerage and the options and in the sort of volume that's available at the moment. That's just not going to be around. So you know, we have so that is available there. And you know, we'd you know, the money would sit in the bank, be usefully deployed down the track. But so end of August, if anyone's keen to get in, we like strategic investors. We like the people like we've got in our registry now that give us good advice. You know, the Martin Pretties of the world that you know, are linked into our community and know who are good partners and know what we're doing.
Yeah. No, it was great to have Martin present as part of this conference today as well. And quite clearly, that's what you've just described is the way to get set for any investor of size who wants to be part of sharing in Spectur's growth from here. And you know, as they say in the classics, a week's a long time in football. A lot could happen between now and the end of August, and 2 cents might be looking more compelling then. So we're riding right up against the time, so I think we'll close things off there. And on behalf of Spectur, I'd really like to thank everyone for tuning in to the NWR Security Tech Conference today. Really appreciate everyone joining us and for your continued interest in Spectur. If you have a question that we didn't answer today, please reach out. Management will be happy to take that further offline. And we will also make the video recording of this session available online at the NWR YouTube channel. Really looking forward to the opportunity to talk to you all again. From my perspective, this has been really fun, hosting some really exciting companies over the course of today that are all operating in a similar sector and all solving different customer problems. So on that note, thanks again, everyone, for participating. And Gerard, I might pass across to you now for any closing comments.
Yeah, no, it's been fascinating. I've really enjoyed listening to all of the other speakers earlier today. It's been a bit of a luxury to do that. And I think it's a very exciting time for security, safety, and the sort of industries that certainly Spectur are in, but also our peer group too. And I think, you know, FY25 is going to be a really exciting year, certainly for us. I think with a bit of maybe a bit of a change in the market as well, I think it's going to be a really good time to be in a lot of stocks and certainly Spectur. And we're looking forward to you know, coming back maybe in a year's time. We'll do this again, and we'll be able to point out to all the exciting things that we've done over the last 12 months.
Yep,
Thank
looking
you.
forward to it. Good stuff. Thanks, Gerard. Thanks, everyone. Chat to you again soon. Cheers.